To those of you joining us today, thank you for watching the Woburn Spotlight. I'm your host, Tyler Gates, here to bring you some positivity by talking to those in town, making big strides for the greater good. Today, I'm very fortunate to have with me Sean Page from Signature Page Real Estate. Sean, thanks for coming in.
Tyler, pleasure.
For all of you that don't know, Sean is the owner of Signature Page. You started it early in 2017?
Yeah, we actually opened up our license at the end of 2016 and really had our first campaign start off in the first couple months of 2017. So this is a new product. It's a new step in my life, and we're very excited and very proud about everything we've been doing up until this point.
And you've got a pretty cool story. From sitting down with you, you've done a lot, and not just real estate, but you've done a lot of different things here in the United States and even abroad at times. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about your background, what brings you here today?
Absolutely, yeah, because real estate wasn't something that was on my radar.
That didn't seem it, didn't seem it.
I went to school, my passion was athletics. I loved athletics, I loved coaching, I loved playing, and I was fortunate. I started to coach at an early age. I was coaching at the collegiate, and then I got into the prep school level, and I was an assistant athletic director at one of the most prestigious prep schools here in New England, and on top of that, of course, of coaching, but I always felt like I had that coaching mentality, and then it wasn't until I got out of that, I'd left one of the prestigious schools here in New England. I actually headed my own department at an American school in Morocco.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting, learned a lot about life, and had a great time, wouldn't take it back for the world. And came home, was still in athletics and coaching, but started to get into sales actually a little bit more, and got involved with a franchise, a fitness franchise. And coaching led to leadership, and leadership led to development, and I became a franchise developer. And we had a lot of success, but definitely in those couple years I was doing that, I learned that I have the gift of gab. I have the gift of gab. I have definitely a feel for a sales approach, and I was able to take that coaching mentality with me, and just it worked. And over that time, it came to me that I started to find a little passion for real estate. I had a couple side stories that happened along the way, but I remember waking up to my then wife now and just said, I have an idea. I said, I think I'm gonna go into real estate, leave the gig here, the franchise, and do this. I said, what do you think? She says, Sean, never doubted you, and that was really the moment for me to say, you know what, let's just go for this. You're not getting any younger, let's go now. So that was about 7 years ago. Started my career off in Bill Ricker with George and Carol Woods at Woods Real Estate, fantastic people. Been in the business for 30 plus years. They're builders, they have a great reputation, and learned so much from them, which I was super grateful for. I then went into the city, started to do some city real estate in Beacon Hill, and last couple years opened up another firm with some other partners of mine, and then this year I just said, it's time to start the legacy, And,
time to make it your own.
Yeah, and one of the things for me too as well is I really want to go back to my roots. I'm a Woburn guy originally, and when I got into real estate, I just saw an opportunity in Woburn real estate. We were just coming out of the recession. It was a great time to get involved, and we had this great community in Woburn in a great location, and there was opportunity there. And I was fortunate to take some of my buyers, my investors, my builders, and bring them to the Woburn scene because they weren't really familiar with it. And we've had some success over the years. And now to actually be firmly planting our roots here in Woburn for the foreseeable future, nothing makes me prouder, because we've seen this community in this real estate market really go a long way in the last few years right now, and I think the sky's really the limit, and Woburn's finally starting to be put on the map as a great quality place to raise a family, great quality place to buy, and especially for those commuters going northeast, southwest, there's no better place than Woburn.
It is a pretty convenient location.
You got it.
Okay, wonderful. A lot of real estate companies out there. What makes you different? What's your vision? What's your mission going forward?
That's the million-dollar question, Tyler. For me, we're into boutique real estate. We're not a big firm, of course. We're a small firm. We handle every aspect of real estate, from helping renters and landlords to buyers and sellers, our investors, our builders. I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of people along the way and learn a lot along the way. Very fortunate to have a great team too as well, and it starts there. We have some great synergy in-house. We have a lot of hungry agents that bring a lot of great ideas to the table. And we really work well together. But the thing for me at the end of the day is I eat, breathe, and sleep this business. It's at the end of the day, it is my passion, it's my hobby, and it's what I love to do. Mm-hmm. So for me, I'm on top of the market, but more so, we're about keeping up with, in our mission statement you see, of course, we're about embodying modern technology, which is endless right now. And most importantly, though, just fostering those relationships that we believe should last a lifetime. And in any real estate transaction, whether you're renting a place, whether you're buying a place, selling a place, or building a place, it's quite a process, and it needs to be managed in such a way throughout the entire process. So we really pride ourselves in being there at step one, managing our client, their expectations every step of the way, and handling things with the most professional and empathetic care in the world. So the relationship building side of things is extremely important in this business. People need to be able to trust you, and hopefully I've done a good job of earning that trust over the last few years. Yeah,
one of the words that stood out was empathy, and it makes me think, because I'm sure your buyers and sellers are much different, right? Selling a home must be vastly different emotionally than buying a home, right? You're buying, you're excited, you're getting into either a new place or transitioning. Selling, you might be leaving a home that you have all of your memories from your entire life at. That must be a hand-holding process. I'm sure you guys take that very seriously. It sounds like, from what I've heard about you, you have that hand-holding approach, and you meet your buyers and sellers where they are. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, and I mentioned one of those stories that kind of led me into the real estate world, and it was actually, you just pinpointed right there, is I remember seeing my mother have to sell her home during the recession on Eastern Ave, good old 119 Eastern Ave. She grew up in that house, I grew up in that house, and that was the family generational home for all of us. And stuff happened during the recession, and people were affected. They lost their jobs, they lost their houses, they lost their relationships with people. And I remember seeing all the pain on so many people's faces, but more specifically somebody like my mother, who that hits you really hard. And I remember being a young kid, probably about 22, 23 years old, and having to go to the closing table with her and have her watch her, sell that house. And I remember how stressful that process was for her. And I remember how much it took out of her. And I remember thinking to myself, no matter if it's a painful sale or not, nobody should ever feel this way at the end of the day. And I guess I just became really empathetic to understanding where certain individuals are coming from in the process. No sale is ever alike, Tyler. No sale is ever alike. Everybody has different motivations for why they buy and they sell. And I think it's really important, as what I believe being the quarterback of the transaction, it's important to understand the personalities, understand the motivations, and understand what it is that you truly need to do to make sure it's a smooth, win-win transaction for both parties.
Mm-hmm. And so the quarterback, you're essentially navigating many other individuals as well. The opposing side's agent, or whatever it may be, whether it's builders, developers. I'm sure you are essentially just taking a headache away from a lot of the clients that you service.
In a nutshell.
Taking that away, that pain up there.
You can't take things emotionally being in our position. You have to be the unbiased one. And you have to understand the process, you have to understand the pieces to the process and the personalities. But it's very difficult to sometimes not stay emotional in this business, of course, because there's so many ups and downs. And again, no transactions alike. But we believe in that process, because if your client or somebody in the transaction loses trust and faith in your ability to perform, that's a recipe for disaster, and nobody wants that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing a little bit about your company and about your background and why you're here today. Now, we came to talk about a few different things. I know you're very active in the veterans space and the veterans community. And we're going to talk about some of the things you've done in the past, some of the things you'll be doing in maybe 2017, late 2017, early 2018. And then we'll finish it off by talking about what we're seeing in the Woburn market. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. Where we met, Homes for Our Troops.
You got it.
Tell us a little bit about that and your experience so far.
First of all, thankful to you too as well, because I didn't know you from a hole in the wall, and you saw us obviously put together a fundraiser back at Lord Hobo back in, what was that, early April I think it was, right?
It was at least a year ago, yeah.
Yeah, early April it was, and we got involved early in the year.
Not a year ago. I was thinking that was last year.
This is exactly. Beginning of the year, of course. But what was important for me was we're all connected to the VA community one way or another, whether ourselves are veterans, whether our family or friends are veterans. So I've always taken a fascination to the veterans and wanting to be able to help them too. And When I first got into real estate, I got involved, like I said, with George and Carol Woods of Woods Real Estate, and they were a veteran-owned company. And I got to learn a lot about VA loans, VA lending, and just the entire process for buying for a veteran. It's a lot more convoluted than maybe your typical other home sale process using some sort of other standard financing.
Okay.
And for me, at the beginning of the year, we had a great agent who said, you know, I've been running this 5K run for the troops up in Andover the last couple of years. And I think it's a fantastic opportunity based on, you know, what you're saying you want to do, Sean. So got involved with the director, Bill Pennington, up in Andover. We met at a Starbucks a couple times, and we just really connected. And at that time, he was in need of a new sponsor. He wasn't really pleased with the sponsor they had at that time. So we just, meeting the minds came together, and we said, this is a good fit for each other. So every year, right before or right after the Boston Marathon, the 5K walk run for the troops is hosted in the Andover Commons. And this year was fantastic. We had over 5,000 runners that came out to support our troops. We had a bunch of different beneficiaries that we helped along the way. The main sponsor that I took over helping along the way was Homes for Our Troops, which is based down in Taunton, Massachusetts, and they're out to help all the wounded vets, building them and their families new homes that suit their needs. This was something that just spoke to me. I got involved with HFOT, met with them and their directors, and got a chance to meet some of the veterans that we were doing projects for, and it just spoke to me and said, this is something that you need to do. And the rest was magic. We were able to host a great fundraiser at Lord Hobo, which you obviously came out to. We had a lot of great turnouts. We had a lot of great activity. We were able to fundraise thousands of dollars for Homes for Our Troops. And that was a great segue into the fact that we had the 5K a couple weeks later.
That was perfect.
And it was fantastic. You know, we had a booth set up down there. I brought one of my barbecue vendors down there. We finished up at the race. At the finish line, we set up, and everybody came through after doing the 5K, and we had little pulled pork sandwiches and waters with the, you know, the signature page koozies, and just a fantastic turnout, a great way to get out there and do something for a wonderful cause, because at the end of the day, these veterans have been serving us, and I just feel like it's time that we find a way to serve them. And if this is the little thing that I can do to help give back, I'm all for it. So great success this year. We'll look forward to making next year even better than ever, and very proud to be a part of that and to be a lead broker for Homes for Our Troops.
So you had two events early 2017. Are we going to see anything at the end of 2017, or are we looking at these same two events early in 2018?
We're looking towards 2018. However, we have another event I think we'd like to add to the table. I've been working with a great broker in Tewksbury who we've done a couple transactions with, and she's married to a veteran. She was very involved with watching what we were doing with HFOT and the VA and really bringing light to the situation and how we can help. And she said, "How can I get involved?" And we started.
Don't you love those kind of people?
Yeah, and I said, you know, let's Panera it one day, you know, grab a lunch and just brainstorm. And so we did that, and good. She's very involved with the Cornhole company that builds cornhole boards, actually in Billerica, Wicked Cornhole, excuse me. And she says, you know, we might have an opportunity. It seems like a lot of people are doing golf tournaments nowadays. What do you think about doing a cornhole tournament? I said, well, you know, I got a couple friends that do it, one including the wrestling team here at Woburn High too as well, that I can ask about how to pull that off. And we had a couple follow-up meetings, and I think it's something we're going to look to do next year to bring more awareness, have more of an opportunity for people to come out and support the cause and raise some money for a great cause. That's something we're planning to do early in 2018 before the race. What I'm hopeful we can do is actually take the two finalists from that and bring them out to the 5K walk run for the troops when we do the race, and actually throw them up on stage and put them in front of 5,000 people to do the finals. Yeah. So we got a lot of moving pieces right now, but a lot of the big focus right now is, again, helping out our VA community. You know, for any of those buyers and sellers in the VA community, we offer out great signature rewards, and more importantly, we offer out a $500 donation for every buyer and seller that's a veteran that we help out. We make that donation in our client's name, whether they want their name known or want it anonymous, but super important that we continue to keep working on bringing awareness to the cause and raising the money to help these wonderful veterans that served us get into the homes that they need and their families deserve.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you're doing that. I'm a big believer in it as well. Like you said, whether you're directly, or everyone's affected or knows a veteran. in their lives somehow, some fashion. So to be able to support that is excellent. And so you have 3 events now in the works for 2018. So it's going to be a busy year for you.
It is. And, if we can just keep taking steps forward and keep adding a little bit more to the plate every single year, slow and steady wins the race.
Excellent. So you said that was up in Andover. You're down here in Woburn. What's your footprint look like?
Well, sorry guys, I'm originally from Woburn, but I do live up in Andover now. So I'm trying to, manage myself in a couple different areas. We're obviously making strides in the Andover area, but at the end of the day, my main focus is, of course, Woburn, being from Woburn, having so many great relationships here in Woburn, and obviously marketing ourselves here in Woburn. So the main focus is here, of course, but at the end of the day, when we talk about the cause, it's not about Woburn, it's not about Andover, it's not about Burlington, it's about the cause. It's about
absolutely.
the cause, it's about the veterans, and it's about doing the right thing and bringing awareness to such a great cause.
Okay. Home sales wise, what's your footprint? I know you probably know Woburn better than a lot of the other surrounding towns, as well as Andover. I'm sure you go as far as, how far south do you go? How far north? What kind of buyers and sellers are you representing? Is it,
Well,
is it always changing?
You know where we're located, in the
Yeah.
corner of Main and Mishawon, but I like to always say my second office is, of course, one of my cars.
Yeah.
Because, we do. We spread ourselves thin. I'm very fortunate to be able to have met and know a lot of different people inside the Woburn area and outside the Woburn area. So we cover a lot of ground from the South Shore and the Foxborough area, where we have new construction going on right now, up into the Middlesex area, up into the North Shore area. The focus at the end of the day for me is buying and selling, whether you're a home buyer, a home seller, whether you're an investor looking to start a new focus with your career, whether you're a builder. We have experience in every single sector, and I don't think any leaf can go unturned with our experience and our passion, our desire. You mentioned the Woburn market, and you're right, I do know the Woburn market extremely well. And again, from 7 years ago when you could buy something for pennies on the dollar, now it's pretty amazing to see how far the Woburn real estate market has come. I mean, even in the last a year and a half to 2 years, I think we've seen the median home sales for single families rise about 150,000. Just looking at my notes a couple nights ago, I think the average list price for a home right now in Woburn is about $500,000. 7 years ago, if I told you that, you would have said I'm crazy. And, we've almost doubled what our market value is in the last decade here. And again, I still think we have so much upside here in Woburn. And I know how involved you are with the city and the Woburn Business Association and everything else that's going on from a planning standpoint. And I think that's the reason you're here too as well, because you see the potential.
There's potential, a lot of potential here in Woburn. I know it's a great community and everyone's very supporting of each other, and that's why I tried to make it out to your event. I know you've been a big supporter of me and my business, so thank you for that as well. What are you seeing in Woburn? Any trends that just stick out at you? I know there's an increase in home values.
Yeah, definitely we have the increase in home values, but I think we're scarce with our inventory right now, certainly. And I think we can probably make that case for a lot of places. In the surrounding area right now, we've seen a huge amount of demand, but the supply hasn't necessarily been there in 2017. And it's interesting. I ask all sorts of buyers and sellers more specifically, what's holding you back from selling? And the big thing I get out of sellers is, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to need a roof to put over my head, and I might be in the same position as that person trying to buy my house. So it is a process, of course, and we've seen, from a volume standpoint, increases year after year over the last 5 years. And this year it seems like things are a little bit more stagnant. The market's still pushing forward. There's a lot of great financial programs out there for people to buy with, but at the end of the day, we need more homes to sell.
Halfway through the year, do you think we're behind where we have been the last 5 years as far as pace-wise?
We aren't, certainly here at Signature Page and the people that we help out, things are going great and we're trajecting upwards, but I'd say things are a little slow right now. And one of the more interesting things too is, this is something I talk about often, and more so really often over the last couple months with my advisors on the financial side, on the legal side, other broker friends of mine, is I like to call this the year of the appraisal, because more than ever we've seen still just that incredible increase in market values, and more specifically in the multifamily market value. That market value's jumped up so high that we're finding appraisers can't even keep up with the fact that we have such a high evolving increase in price structure that they're finding it difficult to sign off on appraisals at what we believe the market value is for homes. We could have 10 people bid on a house and 10 offers go over the asking price, but if the appraiser doesn't have the supportive evidence to back it up for the financial side, kind of gets us between a rock and a hard place.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, that's a good thing too as well, because an increase too quickly, of course, can get us into a negative place. So this has been an interesting year, and I find that the most common thing, an issue that we as brokers and individuals in this profession is dealing with the appraisals this year.
Okay. And for buyers and sellers, do you have any suggestive tips for what people out there should look for? Whether they're interviewing you or any other broker out there or agent out there, what should you look for in that first conversation? What are the questions you should be asking?
As a buyer?
Or a seller. Start with either. You kick it off.
Hey, what's your motivation at the end of the day?
Okay.
At the end of the day, I can't help you unless I know exactly what it is that you want to do.
Right.
My job is to be able to put myself in your shoes and try to serve you the best possible way I can. So at the end of the day, for me, it's about, just shaking off the cobwebs and getting to know each other and building a little trust with each other.
Okay.
If that means me giving you a little bit of background on who I am and what I've done, sure, we can do that.
Okay.
I say, take the chains off and just ask me what you got to ask me at the end of the day. But more importantly, the questions you want to know, though, of course, is, if you're a seller, you want to know, what the market value is, of course, for your home. What's the turnaround? And then again, what's the exit strategy, too? Are you looking to move somewhere else? Are you looking to buy another house? Are you going to be renting? What is your game plan? We need to know, we know you're thinking about selling right now, but we need to know what the exit strategy is, too, because there's so many variables in between. And the same thing goes for a buyer, and I think this is a tougher conversation to have with buyers because, again, we go back to market demand, supply and demand. There's not as much supply out there especially if you're a first-time home buyer in that $300, $400 range and stuff. There's not much inventory, and it's an aggressive market because we have a lot of buyers. So it's having a better understanding of what type of a buyer you are. How strong are you financially? What type of a program are you going to be using in regards to, is it going to be a conventional loan, FHA, a VA loan? And then let's take a look at what you want. Okay, Tyler, you tell me, what do you want? Do you want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,000 square feet, 2-car garage, an acre lot? And then my job is to really tell you, based on what you can actually do and what you want, what's a reality. So there's got to be a little compromise more times than none. But if we know what all those facts are, we start, at square one, and we just go from there.
Excellent. And how do typically people find you? Have you fallen into a niche? Do you work more so with first-time home buyers? Are you falling into that transitional out of that downsizing sector, or are you just servicing a variety of individuals?
I remember one of my first couple weeks ever in the industry, Carol Wood's telling me, a niche is going to find you. A couple of years from now, you're going to be a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, or you'll help the VA community. I don't know if this is fortunate or unfortunate, but I've been able to indulge myself in my business into various activities, again, with the buyers, the sellers, the VA community, the builders, the investors, managing our landlords and their investments too as well, because that's super important at the end of the day. So I like to think we're a one-stop shop in the sense that we can manage any and all transactions. There's so many variables that happen along the way, and in order to pick out that right broker, you need to have somebody that does have the experience, somebody that's gone through those hurdles and those variables that aren't common on some deals, because at the end of the day, we don't know what those hurdles and variables are going to be until we start the process. And again, I might sound like a broken record, but no 2 transactions are ever alike. And it seems like every transaction you do, there's something new that happens. But when that does happen, it's a chance to learn and sharpen your craft at the end of the day. And I'm fortunate to say that we've been able to get to the finish line more times than none and get around a lot of hurdles along the way and keep everybody happy.
Good. So for the people out there listening today here in the Woburn community, what's one takeaway that you'd want somebody in this area to kind of keep in the back of their mind as they either pursue a transition or think about the idea that they're buying or selling?
Find the right team. Find the right team. Find the right lender if you're financing. Find the right program. Find the right broker. This is, again, at the end of the day, all about relationships and trust, and I can't emphasize that enough. If you don't trust the person that's working for you, how's anybody going to be happy at the end of the day? So for me, I've been fortunate. A lot of people tell me it's just, Sean, you can see the passion in your eyes. You can see it when you speak and stuff, and that's what we like. The work ethic. I mean, listen, you got work ethic. I got work ethic. Who knows who's better? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I think we're both pretty respected at what we do, and I think that's the most important thing. But step one is certainly just finding that team that works. It's all about the team structure and trust.
Do you mind elaborating on that team structure just a little bit? I know as a first-time home buyer myself, there is a team in place that you're going to want to have going into this. Do you mind just elaborating on that in case there's people out there that want to know more about that team process?
Yeah, certainly, especially for like a buyer, because maybe that team's going to be a little bit bigger, because then you get some lending and financial things that we have to overcome too as well. But if you're somebody new that's coming to me and saying, I don't know anything about buying, I'm starting from day one, again, we're going to ask those key questions, and then we're going to go sit down with one of our lenders. We do have some exclusive lenders we work with, and of course, at the end of the day, it is your decision, but I've been working with these lenders for multiple years, and we have an incredible track record of success. And for me, it's not maybe just one lender, maybe it's a second one. And what I tell people at the end of the day is, I want you to go with who you feel most comfortable with talking to, because every personality, again, is different. So for us, it's about figuring out what you can do, and that's where the lender comes into place, getting that person checked off, coming back, and then us figuring out what we realistically can do.
Okay.
And then, of course, we do have some legal background too as well, in regards to, we have some fantastic attorneys that we work with on the buying and selling side that we have a long track record with. So again, just trust the process and ask the questions.
Okay, so get yourself a good agent that will get you a good lender and can introduce you to the point of an attorney when you need one.
You got it.
About right?
You got it.
Pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, and let's leave out all the other stuff along the way.
For somebody like me, that's what you need to know going into today.
Let's keep it basic for now.
This is why you have your job, though. You know the everything in between that people don't think of. Right?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
So how do people find you? If somebody watches this and says, I need to meet Sean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you'll be finding a lot more of me in the coming months and in the coming years here too as well, because we do have a marketing plan. We do quarterly mailers. We saturate Woburn as well, so you might have seen our face in the mail from time to time. Again, we're really involved with modern technology, and of course that means keeping up with social media. That means making innovative changes to your website. That means spending, unfortunately, you got to spend money to make money. So it's spending money in the right areas. So I think you'll find us online. You can go to signaturepagere.com or even signaturepage.realestate.com, of course, to find us. You can look us up on Facebook. You can look us up on LinkedIn, Google+, any of these social media venues. And then you can always come down to Main Street too. We're right on the corner of Main and Mishawam. We have a great office over there at 623 Main Street, and more times than none, you'll probably just find me around Woburn too as well. We find each other at a lot of the same venues and whatnot, and at the end of the day, word of mouth and a referral goes the longest way, because that's, at the end of the day, what's more important. If somebody can refer you, it means they think highly of you to be able to put their name on the line too.
Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing a lot about your company and what we should expect here in Woburn. Appreciate it.
Let's do it again.
We will.
Thanks, Tyler.
My pleasure. Thank you for watching today's show with Sean Page. And remember, we all have one life to live. Let's all do our part. I'm your host, Tyler Gates. Join us again next time. Hope your summer's going well, and we'll see you again on the Woburn Spotlight.